Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
All of
This
it.
is all of it, all of it. We back on the Refugee Podcast, fasting.
What was one of your most pivotal fasting experiences that moved you?
I remember the hardest fast I did was I don't even know if I would consider I was technically fasting, but it wasn't voluntary, right?
Hmm.
So I was like when I first moved down here, and I may have told y'all this on another episode, but I didn't have like I was pretty much living in my I was technically living in my car like for a little while.
Hmm.
Um, and this is before like right before I started going to Destiny. I didn't know anybody down here in Atlanta, so I didn't have no family I could stay with. It was just super bad at home, so which is the whole reason I came down here.
Hmm.
I came down here based on a job that my boss from back in North Carolina told me that I had. But when I got down here, because like my boss, like, yeah, we put in a good word. We called that place and we got it all set up pretty much. But when I got down here, they're like, nah, we haven't heard of this guy or we ain't heard nothing. So I was down here with no job, no place,
Wow, that's
um,
crazy, boy.
and no like, I just had the money that I came down with, which was only like $400, which quickly dwindled down after like a weekend. And I had all
Hmm.
my stuff that I owned in my car, and this was just like a two-seater '92 Honda Civic. So um, I found a job, but then it would like something kept happening. Like every six, like I was working at this gym, it closed down like in a week before they closed because it was privately owned. The managers just called us in like, yo, it's gonna be our last week. We gotta close this location. We'll put in recommendations, but that's pretty much it. So,
Hmm.
um, like for about maybe for like a year, um, and I had an apartment with somebody, but then they just dipped out. Um, so essentially, I was going through periods where I was only eating like once and or like not
Hmm.
at all some days, trying to I was just essentially that guy like that. Like now, if you were to drive up the street and just see somebody walking up the street or like standing out in front of Walmart, like I was that guy, which is why I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
so much compassion for people. You know what I'm saying? But um,
Hmm.
I didn't even, so it's like an involuntary fast. Like I was eating once a day because like I had to stretch $20 over a week. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Or like, you know, I wasn't watching TV because I didn't have like Wi-Fi or cable or anything.
Yeah.
Um, wasn't talking to nobody. Like wasn't I didn't have like a social life. I wasn't being intimate with nobody. So I was technically fasting, but it wasn't like because I'm like, okay, God, I want to get close to you. But it was like that was just how I was living. But then it
Yeah.
turned into like, let me see. Like I was trying to find something, like get an answer, like why am I going through this? And if I'm being honest, um, God probably used that desire to want to get out of that phase to draw me in.
Absolutely.
And then like while I'm in it, like, okay, I'm here. Let me come to terms with it and try to get something out of it. But a part of that was still like, yo, maybe if I go hard, God will bless me into something else, which he eventually did. But, it's one of them things where God will use whatever to get your attention. And I just remember like one week I was like, again, because I wasn't working. So I had dedicated to doing like an hour every morning of just
Hmm.
reading my Bible. I would put my phone like under my mattress in the middle so I couldn't get to it and couldn't be distracted. And
Yeah.
yeah, just like read my Bible and stuff and pray or whatever for at least an hour. And then at night I was staying up like to pray until like I literally would stand up and fall asleep, still standing up. Like I just like I'm gonna pray until I fall asleep type thing. Like going
Yeah. Yeah.
super crazy hard. And because I didn't have any outside distractions, I was like super focused and, really sensitive. So it was just one night, man, where something hit me and it's like and honestly prior to that, and this was like 2016, prior to that, you grow up in the South, you just believe in Jesus just because like it's just what
Right.
you do,
It's like
and
this the
especially
culture.
if you're African American. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
who you are. It's like you don't even have no real proof that this is real, but it's just like you don't believe in who, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right. Right.
so
You ain't really had that moment with them
yeah,
yet. You
yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah.
So, and I had a moment, man, and I felt his presence, and it's like it felt as real as someone, if someone to come and punch me in the face, like it felt that real. And I couldn't describe that feeling, but I knew that's what it was. It could be nothing else. That's how different and just otherworldly. And my eyes were closed because I was praying. And I like lost all the feeling in my legs. I just dropped to my floor, and just tears just started coming. But I wasn't sad. I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, yo, this is real. Like I was so, it was excitement, and like it was crazy. And that was the first time, and it hasn't happened since, honestly. But it was
Mm-hmm.
enough to sustain me even to this point to know like, okay, this stuff is real.
Mm-hmm.
There's really something to this, like fasting and praying, and not just praying, but praying until something happens, praying until like, and there's even Bible verses that talk about like, and Will did a sermon on it. He's like, what would you do if you the first time you prayed it didn't work? Like, what do you
Mm-hmm.
do when God is drawing you deeper to the point where like you feel like you have nothing else, and then He extends His arm and grabs you? Would you like, with that moment, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Could that sustain you throughout your life? And that one touch will literally be enough to let you know that it's something real. Um, and that was like what, 26. So I was like 24, 25 years old. But prior to that, I mean, it was just, church and, fasting just because. But that was the first time that I was like, yo, all right, I guess there's something to this thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So